Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Daniel Fiverson. I am a certified evolutionary astrologer trained in the Jeffrey Wolf Green's method of evolutionary astrology. I have been a student of metaphysics, astrology, tarot, and I Ching since the conjunction of Uranus and Pluto in the 1960s. Today, I want to talk about the phenomena of eclipses, when they occur, and what they are from an EA perspective. There are many great circular paths through the solar system. This image here that I'm showing you depicts two of them that we're going to talk about. It's the orbit of the Earth around the sun and the orbit of the moon around the Earth. But there are others. These include the orbits of the 9 planets, Chiron, and Eris and Sedna, and the 24,000 numbered asteroids. Astrology only uses a handful of named asteroids, but each of these celestial bodies has a wealth of expression and meaning. When we talk about eclipses, what we are concerned with regarding eclipses are the intersection of the moon and the ecliptic, the path, the imaginary path of the Earth's orbit around the sun. The path of the Earth around the sun creates the seasons each year. And the path of the moon around the Earth every month creates the lunar cycles. The 2 points where these great circles intersect are known as the lunar nodes. Twice every month, the moon crosses the Earth's ecliptic. If the moon is going from south to north, it is called the moon's ascending node, and it's the north node. If the moon is moving from north to south, it is called the moon's south node. Lunar eclipses occur when the full moon is within 11 degrees, 38 minutes of either lunar node. Solar eclipses occur when the new moon is within 17 degrees, 25 minutes of either lunar node. An eclipse season is approximately a 35-day period for both eclipses, and they repeat in cycles of 173.3 days. Generally, there are 2, possibly 3 eclipses within each eclipse season, and there are 2 eclipse seasons in 1 calendar year. The south node of the moon correlates to the past. The reason that it's the past is because the moon is our emotional body, and it correlates to the composite of our previous lunar personalities and our previous emotional bodies. It's what we have brought with us emotionally into this lifetime from the past. The north node points to the future. It's a probable future. The choices that we make in the present are the determinant of that future. When we repeat the same choices as the past in the present, what we do is we repeat the past as the future. We have to make different choices in the moment, in the future, in the present, to create a different future, something that's different from the past, and to move forward. An eclipse is an energy release. They're valves. They are pent-up energy that has been held emotionally, perhaps for months or even years. A lunar eclipse is an intense emotional release. A solar eclipse is the unfolding of self-actualized energy, or soul-intended life changes, where we're intending to go forward. But the lunar eclipse, the moon is our emotions. The sun is our self-actualization process, and the eclipses reflect both of these processes. There are, in your terms, then, unlimited probable future events from which you are now setting the groundwork. The nature of the thoughts and feelings you originate and those that you habitually or characteristically receive set a pattern. So you will choose from those probable futures, those events which will physically become your experience. And that's from Seth Speaks, which was channeled by Jane Roberts back in the 1970s. So we've had the Pisces new moon. We're already in a new moon cycle that began on March 10th at 21 degrees of Pisces. But this new moon sets the first eclipse season because the uh, uh, lunar eclipse that's coming up is the full moon for this cycle. It's a dormant incubation, if you would. The planets are all poised on the eastern horizon in this chart. It's quite intense. Um, and they represent tremendous potentials for release in astrological and mundane time. All of the planets are sandwiched basically between Pluto and Jupiter. This is a wide first quarter crisis in action square. Crisis in action was a term coined by Dane Rudhyar. It means that we've come to the first angle, first hard angle of this cycle, and we must now choose from all of the things that we've experienced up till now to decide how we're going to go forward. There's latent, compressed, and unresolved emotional energy. Mars and Pluto are leading the pack here, are pushing it, but they are the leaders. And they are the flashpoints in Aquarius. The energy will be released at the lunar eclipse on March 25th, but this is the energy that we're working with. All of this compacted energy uh, with with Pluto and Mars and Venus in this chart in Aquarius, and then this line of Saturn, Sun, Moon, asteroid Hygeia, and Neptune, all in Pisces. And then the Aries portion of it is Mercury, the North Node, Chiron, and Eris. And then Jupiter up here moving into conjunction, is conjunct, moving towards an epic April 20th conjunction in Taurus. The Libra lunar eclipse will occur on the 25th of March at 5 degrees of Libra at 1 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's a full moon. It's a full moon on steroids. And this is the release point for all this Pisces energy and Aquarian energy. As I said, it's a full moon on steroids. Something has been building for months or years, and it needs to be released. And the emotional energy needs to let go. And it comes up for review and for revision. Eclipses occur in 18-year cycles known as Saros cycles, and this is Saros series 113, which last occurred in 2006. The International Astronomical Union in that year defined a planet for the first time since Galileo because they had discovered Eris. And Eris was discovered two Pluto distances from the sun, slightly larger than Pluto. They weren't quite sure how to handle it, so they realized that they had to come up with a new formula for what was really a planet. Unfortunately, they demoted Pluto to dwarf planet status, and they actually promoted Ceres, which is the only perfectly round object in the asteroid belt, to dwarf planet status. Interestingly enough, it was the year that NASA sent its first probe to Pluto. The Libra eclipse occurs, the lunar eclipse occurs in Libra, and Libra is about balance and equilibrium. It's about balancing opposing forces and personal opinions and perspectives. And Venus is the ruler of the eclipse, and it's sandwiched in between Saturn and Neptune. It mirrors our relationship with others, but Taurus is our relationship with ourselves. Both of these Venusian archetypes are very, very active in this chart because we have Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, and we have the the moon is in Libra, which is the release point. So it's not just our relationship with others as Libra, but it's also how we view ourselves. How do I love me? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. Mars is the ruler of all of this Aries energy. His fire never goes out. He's in his station is not station, but it is situated in Pisces, And even though it's in a water sign, his fire never goes out. What happens is that when Mars is in the water signs, the energy kind of simmers below the surface, or maybe even boils over. Because it's Pisces, our boundaries are obscured or absent, and saints and saviors and martyrs will show up in our outer world, and so would those who would betray us, abandon us, or misinform us. There's a crisis producing inconjunct from the moon to Mars. You can see it with this green line here. Uh, there's something that's hidden. There's a waning trine from the moon to Pluto. You can see this in this blue line here in Aquarius, which needs an outlet to release the heavy emotional burden. It's these two aspects which are really the trigger points for what's happening in this releasing all of this the tension of all of these squares and semi-squares down here between Aries and Libra and between Taurus and Libra. Mars and Pluto are the keys here to this thing to this whole episode unfolding. It speaks to potential violence, certainly unexpected events, and I don't want to say a firestorm, but all things are possible here emotionally. Mars is aggression, and Saturn is authority and repression and depression. It's false to think, first of all, it's false to think that trines and sextiles are good and that squares and oppositions and conjuncts and semi-squares are bad. The facilitating aspects can make us couch potatoes. It's the hard aspects that get us up off the couch. So the moon is on the lunar south node. And the lunar south node, it carries an emotional payload from the past. As I said, it's a composite. The lunar south node is a composite of our past emotional natures. It's what we have brought into this lifetime by default, how we instinctively, almost unconsciously react to most situations and people. It's just our behavior pattern that we've learned through what feels actually most secure, not necessarily is better or worse, but what feels safe in terms of how we respond to the world around us. The Aries sun on the lunar north node is a different story. We've got a situation here where there can be a sudden event, sudden outbursts. The ascendant, the Aries, Mars is impulsive, it's instinctual, and it's totally non-cognitive. It's not aware of really what the motivations are the actions and the behavior that's being chosen. It's very often kind of just a knee-jerk reaction. So this is quite a combination here of all this emotional energy potentially being released through all this impulsive kind of behavior. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is moving into orb. This is it's second in importance to only the Pluto, the transit of Pluto through Aquarius for this year. This Jupiter-Uranus conjunction actually underscores Pluto and Aquarius for the next 12 years. It formats how that Pluto and Aquarius is going to work. And Jupiter makes everything bigger, and Uranus is certainly a wild card. And in Taurus, it's really about what is necessary for survival. There are going to be survival issues that are going to come up on the agenda, but there will also be self-serving agendas. There will be with all this Aries energy, the people who are going to be just really focused on what they need, irregardless of what the rest of the world around them needs or what's important for the community. We can expect unexpected events, events, and it's going to rattle our personal boundaries for security and self-reliance. Things are going to come up that are going to make us a little bit uneasy with what our sense of safety and security is, and perhaps some of the ways that we ourselves have become self-reliant. We may have to find new ways to go about maintaining that self-reliance. As I said, this is the major outer planet event of 2024. because it underscores and sets the base note for Pluto over the next 12 years. Sorry about this slide. Let's see. Oops. So what this is saying is this is about these grand crosses. There are two grand crosses in both of these eclipses. What we have here is Ceres squaring Astrea, squaring the lunar nodes. Uh, Astrea lived upon the earth during the Golden Age, but she was driven away by lawlessness, and Zeus set her in the sky as the constellation Virgo. And she's closely identified with goddesses Dike, which is justice, and Nemesis, which is rightful indignation. And this is from the internet page of Toy, which is a great site to learn about Greek mythology. Um, but when any planet or asteroid squares the lunar nodes, as you see here, it's called a skipped step. It means that something has been denied, withheld, or has not been accomplished in the past. And what we're looking at here is the resolution is the south node. There's, again, things from the past that are come up, things that are out of balance, Libra, that need to be addressed in order for us to move forward and begin to actually self-actualize Aries in the ways that we really want to consciously and to effectuate the world around us, the people we want to be, the communities we want to live in, all of those things with the stray down here as well, really seeking justice. And justice has really become a very big word in the news these days. So we can see what's happening. We also have the second Grand Cross with Mars opposite Juno and Pallas Athena opposite Sedna. And again, both of these you'll see will be active. This is the solar eclipse. I'm sorry for this the slide where it's cut off. We're looking at the solar eclipse at this point. The Pallas Athena and Sedna really is encouraging because it brings together the higher mind and higher intelligence. There's actually potentials here that not just the crises that we may experience or will experience are going to educate us. They're going to show us that there's a better, higher way to approach some of the problems of the world around us, the way that we live and the way we treat the earth and the way we treat each other. Mars opposite Juno was about fidelity and commitment. And as I said, Mars is our choices, it's our behavior. To be committed, Pisces, to more compassionate, ultimate truth, to be committed to unconditional love rather than conditional love, to find higher ways of living and being and facing the problems in our own world and in the world around us. As I said, these are skip steps. Something has to be resolved. There's a lot of karmic history with the moon and the lunar south node. The past, to a great degree, is overwhelming. Whether we go back, a couple hundred years to the Civil War, go back farther to the American Revolution, or go back even farther than that, 6,000 years ago to when we actually had matriarchal societies. And a lot of that is also embedded in these the nodes of Pluto, which I'll discuss in a few slides. This also brings up the mythology of Demeter and Persephone. They were the iconic mother and daughter. Demeter was the goddess of agriculture. Persephone, her daughter, was the goddess of spring. And together they roamed the fields. They created all the fertility and abundance in the world. But most of us know the story of how Hades came up from the underworld, snatched up Persephone, took her down, molested her. So this also deals with molestation, with sexual assault, sexual misconduct. All of these issues are swirling in the zeitgeist right now. The mutable Grand Cross, as I said, is Pallas Athena, Sedna, Mars, and Juno. Uh, we're looking at fidelity and commitment to our free spirit, Mars and Juno, higher knowledge, increased consciousness. All these potentials are here. This is the growth potential. This is the seed that sits within these two lunations that will unlock all of this compacted, compressed energy that's seeking release. It can all be released through working with higher knowledge, working with our intuition, working with our independence and our pioneering spirit, and being faithful and committed to what's really important to us, Venus, our priorities and our values, to actually access higher consciousness that Sedna holds. All of this is embedded in these eclipses. The eclipse will be visible and mostly energetic across most of the United States and South America, Eastern Africa, and excuse me, Western Africa and Eastern Australia. And this is where the intensity will be and where it will be visible. So the solar eclipse is a new moon on April 8th. The Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, Chiron, Eris, Hygiea, and the lunar north nodes now are all in Aries. This Aries band of characters has greatly increased, definitely intensified. Again, Mars and Saturn in Pisces underscores all this Aries energy. We talked about that a little bit, about the need, not just impulsiveness and authority, but to find some compassion and understanding and some higher knowledge. Neptune, which rules Mars and Saturn, is in its anaretic or very last degree. And this is the baseline for Mars and Saturn. So the anaretic degree is the ring not pass condition. In other words, the energy cannot pass from Pisces to Aries until all of this Pisces energy is resolved, until all of it comes to a still point, and so that the changes can occur. So this is part of the unfolding and part of the release of what needs to happen through these eclipses is in order to find that still point, find that place where we're really in that compassionate self-love, ultimate truth, unconditional love kind of condition for ourselves and the world around us, even for the people we don't like, even for the things that we find are, not necessarily we're comfortable with, but especially with nature. And especially with our communities, and to find unity. This is what has to happen for all this Aries energy to be transformed into something very positive rather than something that's aggressive. Um, I alluded to this already. We have the skip step of Ceres Estrella square the nodes. This is a lot of karmic histories coming up for resolution. Again, you can see it here very clearly what's going on. So the total solar eclipse, this blue band, will be total across this band, and it will be visible across this wider band, across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And the pathway will run directly from Southern California right up to Maine through the United States. So when we look at any transit, the impact depends on the consciousness brought to the event. We're not all the same. Some of us are a little bit more aware of ourselves and our surroundings, and others are not quite as self-aware. When we bring more self-awareness, it potentiates karmic resolution. We take that crisis, and that crisis becomes a catapult, if you would, for growth. It may not be what we asked for, or it may not come in a form that we expected or would have chosen on our own, but we can still use it to accelerate where we need to go. Less self-awareness potentiates potentialities, more intense karmic rebound. In other words, it makes things harder. When we push back against it and we really don't look at what can be achieved working with these energies, then it creates more karma that becomes more challenging. The degree of intensity of the event will correlate directly to each of us or what we need to grow forward. This is metamorphosis through crisis. I just did a talk on this about a month ago. We only learn through direct emotional experience. We don't learn because somebody says you need to do this or you need to do that. It goes in one ear and out the other. When we are confronted face to face with a problem that we cannot solve, and we have to find a way to get through it, that's when we go forward and grow. So I'm introducing for the first time the concept of the nodes, planetary nodes, and here we're working with the nodes of Pluto. Uh, we're all familiar with the moon's nodes, which have a 1 month cycle. Every month, the moon, circumnavigates the Earth, and generates the lunar cycles. It takes 2,000 years for the nodes of Pluto to orbit the Earth. Um, any planetary node, whether it's the moon or Pluto or Mercury, Mars, Venus, whatever it is, embodies the entire orbit of that planet. So again, it's why the moon is a 1 month orbit. What we're looking at is the 1 month history of the moon. But when we look at Pluto, we're looking at 2,000 years. So this is a long, very long range telescope, if you would, back into the past and ahead into the future, in terms of what the lessons, the karmic lessons are this collectively through Pluto in this case. So what we're looking at with Ceres on the south node of Pluto and Australia on the north node of Pluto is, the need to call out justice when you see it. We need to nurture ourselves and authorize ourselves and empower and care for those you love, and really to love yourself first and foremost. And it doesn't mean to be, egotistical or full of yourself. It means to just accept yourself for who you are, the parts of yourself that you've buried, deep, in your eighth house psyche, or the parts of yourself that you, display proudly in your 10th house or your fifth house. It's not about what happens, it's how we respond to it. Carpe diem. The fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, will navigate this best by expressing what you need to move forward. What do you need to self-actualize? Limit any crisis with an alternative dialogue. Search for the good, search for the positive in all the things that happen. And remember that this is a dream. Dream yourself forward. Earth signs Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn can safely navigate this eclipse by finding your self-authority and self-nurturing. Commit to that sense of self-worth and individuality. Express your authenticity, and if necessary, become your own mother or father. The water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, practice self-care, self-nurture. Adhere to your own values and priorities. Make them your vital marching orders. Practice self-nurturing daily. Don't let your emotions overwhelm you, and follow a heart-centered vision. Air signs will safely navigate these eclipses and find safe passage by self-empowering yourself. Distance yourself from any challenging event. Push back. Use your intuition. Allow your intuition to override the rational, and pay attention to whatever comes to you out of left field. This is how you can find me. My readings direct you towards finding your purpose in life that will lead you to live your passion. I write frequent blogs and forecasts on my website, evolutionaryastrologer.net. These are my social web addresses. My email is daniel@evolutionaryastrologer.net. You can use that to contact me for a reading. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this YouTube. I appreciate all the comments, those which praise my work and those which suggest ways that I can present this material in a better way. Thank you for tuning in. Namaste.